Welcome to the first EU Knowledge Valorization Week. This is indeed the first of its kind and hopefully not the last. This week is about making research and innovation results work for a resilient and sustainable Europe. Why is that important? Well, knowledge valorization is not an abstract concept. It is about winning over COVID, ending the pandemic. It is about winning the green transition, all about being the first climate neutral continent and all about circularity. It is about winning the digital transition, connecting in an area of excellence, but also trust our European approach to a digital society. And it is about winning over the increasing risk of inequalities. So winning the race for inclusiveness, leaving no one and no region in Europe behind. That's why knowledge valorization, value creation is so important. How are we going to do this? So with the new European Research Area Policy, we have a clear mandate. We are working on the principle of value creation and very concrete actions. And we have a very strong funding tool with Horizon Europe, our new framework program for research and innovation investments, which we want actually to be an example in knowledge valorization altogether. But perhaps even more importantly, there are many successful policies and practices at national and regional level. And this is where this EU Knowledge Valorization Week comes in. It will capitalize on this pool of experiences. It will showcase 10 best practices from across Europe and promote exchanges on inherent success factors. It will provide for peer learning and policy dialogue across borders. And I'm very happy and grateful that we have been able to co-organize this Knowledge Valorization Week with 10 countries with the responsible ministries, research, innovation, economics from Austria, Belgium, Finland, France, Ireland, Lithuania, Portugal, and Romania. Thank you all for this fruitful and excellent cooperation, which has resulted in this varied and insightful program. And now I'm particularly pleased to open this week with Cristina Fonseca. Cristina, and I will talk with her and ask her some questions about her vision for turning excellent research into value for society. Cristina is a computer scientist, and she has the credibility of someone who has made it. Cristina co-founded one of the three first unicorns in Portugal. That means a lot of market capitalization. This unicorn is called TalkDesk. With that success, she remained a serial entrepreneur. Now she has a startup engaged in automating customer services with artificial intelligence and a very intelligent approach of being language agnostic in her solutions. She's a partner in one of the big private Portuguese capital funds, and oversees a big portfolio of disruptive innovations. So she really knows what it is about. And no surprise that she holds many awards. Most recently, she has been nominated by the World Economic Forum as a Young Global Leader 2021. So, and today, Cristina is with us.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thanks so much, Cristina. So my first question to you is really, what is your story? How did you create so much value in such a short time?
Look, like that's a tough question, but I would say it was like the skills. Like first of all, like I'm very proud of my education. Like I studied in a great university, public university, and so my teachers spent a little bit of energy convincing us that we were very, very good. And like I was intrigued by that. Okay, so if I'm very good and everyone is telling me that, so I'd better be able to create some value with my knowledge. So like I was both intrigued by that and inspired at the time by the rise of technology companies in the US. So the notion that like a programmer could, like Mark Zuckerberg could like just be in their room, like code something, put it on the internet, and things would fly. And suddenly, especially for a country as small as Portugal, where opportunities were a little bit more limited, we started seeing opportunity, right? We didn't have to be within borders, and like just being able to do things on the internet became like very, very magical. I think like I need to highlight something because I was actually a researcher during my master's degree at like one of the best research institutes in Portugal. And the work was so hard. Like, you know, like when you work hard, you advance science, but then like most of my work would end up like in the shelf, you know, like I used to say, like my work was read by me, my advisor, and whoever was reviewing our papers. And that was a little bit frustrating. And it was said to me that research was research and the industry was this thing far away from research. And I like, honestly, I think that's the gap that we need to close and the bridges that we need to build. Like it's also something that in Europe can really make a difference.
Very interesting. So hard work, good education, which is something where Europe can be very proud of. And you said something very important, seeing opportunities. So there is often in the discussion the assumption that we in Europe tend to see problems rather than opportunities. In your contacts with other scientists, entrepreneurs, is that something which you still see, or is that an old myth?
Mm-hmm. I think it's changing because it has to do with role models, right? So when we look around us, if we have good examples and if we see people whose path like we aspire to follow, it becomes easier. Like 10 years ago when we started, like you would say, I'm an entrepreneur, and that word didn't exist. Like the word didn't exist. No one knew what that was. Like today, of course, people understand. I mean, like if I have an idea, if I have a problem that's worth solving, I can go and solve it myself. And I know because I have enough examples around me, like who I can reach out to. I mean, like there's an ecosystem, and of course that's very important. Although Europeans by default like still see more problems, I would say, than in the US. That's a little bit cultural, but it's changing for sure.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Can I ask, because of this role model question, and the US is still, this is where big things happen. Can I ask very directly, your motivation? Was it money? Because from US entrepreneurs, we often hear, I want to be a billionaire. And money certainly is needed to oil the machinery. But what was your key motivation?
Like it was definitely not money. I think it was maybe proving myself or challenge myself in a way that would be fun. So maybe I think that's connected with something I lived through going through university. I had a really bad pneumonia, and I was in the intensive care unit for a week, connected to the breathing machine and everything. So imagine like all like the tough COVID cases. I had that experience when I was going through my master's. And the reality was that after you are like between life and death, you really question what you're doing. And I started questioning myself, like, why am I going to just join a crew of people like working for a multinational or a consultancy company? Is that what's going to make the difference at the end? If I die tomorrow, am I really having fun and trying to advance the world in some way? And like that was the reason why I rejected like a lot of job offers. And I said, like, I better try to do something different and that is challenging on a personal level. Maybe I'll be able to get somewhere. But if not, like, at least I tried. I was not reactive. I was more proactive in trying to understand what I wanted to do. And that turned out great. But it's those small decisions of not getting a job at McKinsey, right? Which I had an offer from, and like say, no, like I'm going to do something that no one understands, but I think maybe there's a way. And that was it. Teachers would call me crazy at the time, by the way. And I was a good student, so like which was not easy for them to deal with.
Okay, good student and crazy. Would you qualify as a rebel?
In a sense, like I was not very rebel, so I was a good girl, but sometimes like I had these crazy ideas and I didn't really care about what people thought about me. So it was a good kind of rebel, I would say.
Cristina, thank you so much for sharing this with us. So this, in hindsight, it probably looks all easy for us looking at your companies, your successes, but can you share a bit more moments when you had doubts, when things were not going right, when you missed support or networks or connections? What is it what you need in such a system for knowledge valorization? Perhaps starting with the moments when it did not look so well as it does now for you.
Mm-hmm. There were several moments and several reasons why, like, the path was not clear at all. The first thing was that it took us like 1 year to get to an idea that we saw. Like, we launched 3 things that didn't work, so like we were very good on the technical level, but we didn't understand what it would take to bring an idea to the market, and like we didn't understand. There were no people around us with that expertise. So access to knowledge in that regard was a challenge. Then we were fortunate to go to the US. We didn't understand the fundraising scene. So everyone suddenly was looking for money. And in our world, money was so scarce resource that like we never thought about raising money. So we had to learn and adapt. Okay, like if we have like an idea that has huge potential, we can accelerate that by raising money. So that for us was like, we don't understand what's going on here, and we had to learn as we went. And then like attracting talent still today, what's most challenging, like for me and for our portfolio companies, is access to talent and access to capital that's smart capital. Like, we would not be where Talkdesk is today if we didn't have raised money from investors that brought the capital and the expertise, because not all money is created equal. And that absolutely changed our trajectory. Like, getting money with people that said, you're going to hire a VP of sales and a VP of marketing, and you're going to speak with these people that already did the trajectory that you need to do in the next 2 to 5 years. And that fundamentally changes your company. I mean, like, we didn't wake up every day and did everything right. Like, no one does. So surrounding ourselves with the right kind of people and with the expertise that you need to scale a technology company was key.
Mm-hmm. 3 important points I noted. Perhaps we go one by one. Knowing about markets, probably business models. So how did you get that, or what would be your advice to young entrepreneurs, but also tech intermediaries, universities? So what is it you could advise?
What's the recipe?
Yeah.
So honestly, the recipe is to do as you think. Like, don't be afraid of like trying, launching things that don't work. For example, at Cleverly, my new company, like I would say we changed pricing like 3 or 4 times already in 2 years. And I mean, like, I don't think it's right already, you know, like, but don't try to get it to perfection on a theoretical level. Just go and try to do things on the ground, because you'll be able to iterate really quick, and that's so important. Also, like, the world is changing fast, so it's normal that you need to adapt, and being able to adapt, being comfortable with that is very, very important. Then, I mean, like, try to surround yourself and look for role models and companies that have done it. And I would say that's it. Like, go for smart capital. Smart capital is more and more important, because it comes with all the other things.
Okay, so what exactly is smart capital?
Like, I'll like, without wanting to promote like what we do today. Basically, we are a venture capital firm, like the first independent venture capital firm in Portugal. And for example, when someone is giving you money, like, you want to get money from someone that knows how the trajectory is, that has the connections, that can help you raise more money, that can help you hire that VP and that senior talent. So that's what smart capital is about. If you look at an investor, and that investor has done what you've done, or that investor has invested in companies that follow the trajectory that you want to go through, like, that's win-win, right? If you're going to take money from someone that's just maybe starting investing, or has been investing in other sectors, and doesn't have like deep expertise, if investors cannot teach you anything, then you'll still be alone and have to figure everything out yourself. So that's what smart capital is about.
Okay, and is it also about patience, or you don't care whether it's with quick exits?
No, I mean, like, look, like the most of the venture capital firms have an exit horizon of like 10 years. You could say that's short term, but it's I mean, it's also industry standard. And like, don't get me wrong, like, venture capital is the right capital for a subset of businesses, but it doesn't apply to all types of businesses. And the EU has been playing a very, very important role in funding more moonshot type companies, companies that would not have a chance 5 years ago. And now they do, because the EU understands there's like a lot of investment needed to make those companies a success. Like, in the US, there's crazy people enough to like just give you money to do that. In Europe, we are a little bit behind, but we are catching up, and the US playing a very, very important role in that regard.
You mentioned the third point, attracting talent. So how do you do that? And this is important also for bigger companies, and it comes back to the first point you mentioned about values, your own values. So how do you attract talent?
Mm-hmm. I think we've been able to attract talent by really creating unique opportunities for people. I think if you're working with cutting edge science and innovation, there will be people attracted to being part of that journey. That's very important. But it also comes with you marketing yourself in that regard. I learned, so I was an engineer. I was totally against marketing. I didn't know how to do marketing. And at some point I learned that marketing's purpose was to attract talent. And people would be very happy if you were on the newspaper, like, to be working for us, because they could go home with the newspaper and show that to their parents or their grandparents. So like as Europeans and as more technically inclined, sometimes we hide behind our computers and our tech, and we believe, no, like, I'll get out when I've proven myself. And it's important to like be marketing driven and sell the vision even before everything is in place and it's real. So marketing is very, very important in that regard.
A very powerful point. Unfortunately, my last question, Cristina, there were rumors that you were quite skeptical about EU funding, and I perfectly understand. And I'm sure, listening to you, are other entrepreneurs who think the EU funding is bureaucratic and not useful and not disruptive or courageous enough. But you said something now a bit more positive about it. So
I've changed my mind. That's true.
Oh.
So, like 10 years ago, like in the beginning of TalkDesk, of course, there were like lots of companies like trying to go for EU funding and EU programs. And like from speaking with other companies and colleagues, I had this notion that it was hugely bureaucratic, and you really spend a lot of time just managing the day-to-day of it. And when you are optimizing for speed, like it's incompatible. So I was pretty much against everything like EU bureaucracy. But the reality was that like as time went by, I started seeing like very innovative companies that could only start and make it because they had the EU support. So I think like the latest EIC and European accelerators programs have changed a lot. And I'm now like very proudly supported by the EU. And that was because the EU made it very easy and closer to the market by having like VCs as evaluators, by trying to bridge this gap. And move from the theoretical side of things to the reality side of things. I think that has been like a very, very positive change. So I'm a big promoter of EU funding right now.
Oh, thanks a lot. There's hope for EU funding as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Peter.
That brings us to the end. You have been fantastic. It's such a privilege to open the EU Knowledge Valorization Week with such an encouraging example, role model as you are. Thanks a lot. You showed us opportunities and recipes for creating value for society. Thank you very much. And if we were together in a room, there would be warm, thundering applause for you, Cristina.
Thank you so much, Peter. And all the best for the rest of the week.
Thank you.